Hi everybody, it's the Professor, and yes, it's the one and only Blue Pill Professor, coming at you from the internet and talking to you about the things we really care about. Namely, the nature of women, and what we are all going to do about it now that we have awoken from our long slumber.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
As promised, you will get the shit test today, and I'm going to start out by telling you all about this amazing phenomenon that, for some strange reason, doesn't exist in any of the academic literature, in any of the relationship literature. It is completely missing. I've studied this, folks. I got a PhD in behavioral science, and there is almost nothing on this phenomenon of female shit test. They will not admit that they exist, because that would require one to admit that men and women are actually not exactly the same, and we can't do that. So you will find almost nothing. In fact, you will find nothing about shit tests in the literature. It's a complete hole. It's a gap, and it's an amazing gap that we have ignored this for so long. Shit tests were discovered roughly in the early 1990s when pickup artists began approaching women, and they discovered that oftentimes they would be met with a vicious, cruel, rude, obnoxious, shitty attitude, and thus the name shit test. At least that's one of the reasons why we call it a shit test. The other reason is that the pickup artists discovered that when women are confronted properly on their bullshit, on their shit test, when you answer the shit test in the right way, you are much more likely to get to fuck that woman later that night. And folks, this is true whether you're going for a one-night stand with fresh game, whether you're trying to pick up a girl that you've known all through high school, or whether you've been married for 30 years. Your wife is still a woman, and your wife still shit tests. And when you respond to those shit tests properly, something amazing happens. She gets horny. Yes, I said it. When you respond to a shit test properly, the woman's attraction for you inevitably, invariably, and always goes up. It may not go up a lot. There may be spurts and fits where it goes backwards, but in general, answering and responding to shit tests in the proper way is an extremely strong attraction trigger for women. It's one of the things I didn't mention last week because I'm going to spend the whole tape on this discussing it right now. So how does this tie into what is the other reason why we call it shit tests? Because if you respond to the shit test properly, you are able to hold your own shit together. Thus, the shit test is not only the woman behaving like a shit and behaving shitty, it is the woman literally testing you. In fact, she is testing your shit. She is testing to see if she can rile you. She is testing to see if you are truly alpha. Men have been confused by shit tests for quite some time because it doesn't make any sense. Why would a woman get all dolled up, slutted up, put on her hoop earrings and her thong bathing suit, and go out to pick up fresh dick, and then, when a good-looking fresh dick approaches her, act like an absolute cunt? It makes no sense. Why would they do that? When you think about it from an evolutionary psychology perspective, it makes perfect sense. A woman has to depend on social cues to define whether or not the man who is pursuing her is worthy to fuck, whether or not he will be able to produce children for her that are viable and have the best chance of surviving. And she determines this by observing what other women do, by observing how you behave, and by throwing out tests to see how you will respond. Now, I want to be clear. Female shit tests are almost exclusively unconscious. They don't know they're acting bitchy and cunty any more than they know that it didn't just happen when she ended up back at the player's bed getting fucked in the ass. It happened because a man followed the steps and made it happen. But we can let her think it just happened, if that makes her able to live with herself a little bit easier. So we've established two things about shit tests, that they are, number one, thrown out there by a woman who is behaving in a shitty way. And number two, they're thrown out there by a woman because the real purpose, the unconscious purpose that she is not aware of, is that she is testing your shit. She's testing whether you have the shit, whether you can laugh it off and not be concerned by her shitty behavior. So how is a shit test in marriage different than a shit test in a pickup artist who is trying to pick up a girl and get her into his bed? Well, I'll build that bridge with some background. Because you may have already guessed, a shit test in a marriage is not exactly like a shit test in a pickup scenario. What you may not have guessed is that the differences are a lot less than you might think. And I mean a lot less. In an established relationship or in a fresh pickup at the local bar, a shit test is a disrespectful tone or attitude directed towards you, often in a sharp, critical, or angry voice. They can take endless forms and can even be nonverbal, like the eye-shaming, squinted brow look of reproof. And believe me, folks, gentlemen, they will hit you with the most severe forms of shit tests when you are at your most vulnerable. Your dad dies, that's when they start shit testing, because they're insecure about their relationship and they are unconsciously driven to test your shit. So in a bar pickup situation, when the player stands up to a shit-testing woman, he takes control of the conversation, and he calmly stands up to her. Guess what, folks? He's a lot more likely to get her in his bed later. In a marriage, the exact same thing happens, and it happens on a daily basis with day-to-day interactions. With each time you pass a shit test in the right way, her attraction for you increases. And each time you fail a shit test, her attraction for you decreases. And believe me, in a marriage, women continually shit test, which you probably noticed if you are listening to this. The consensus is, once again, they do this for the precise reason that they challenge the player at the bar. And if you've ever been in a bar pickup, you have to understand that at night, when women are slutted up and drunked up, they have their bitch shields extended at full power. It's really quite remarkable how vicious and cruel women can be. But they need to determine whether or not you are a worthy alpha male. If they're going to decide they're going to let their guard down so they can fuck you, you have to pass the test and show her you're a worthy alpha male. In a marriage, it's the same thing. She needs to determine whether she can rely on you as her emotional rock. This is why they test when you're at your most vulnerable, because you are at that point least able to provide her emotional security. You are at that point the least like a strong man who is in charge, and therefore the most likely to get shit tested. As cruel as it is. But the bottom line is, a married woman shit tests unconsciously because she needs to be reassured that you are the strong man that she married and that she can rely on your emotional control to harbor her. That's right, guys. You all thought it was about you when your dad died. Well, it wasn't. It was about her. So just don't forget that and you'll do fine. And yes, that was just a little bit of sarcasm for you for those who didn't get it. And again, this is an additive behavior, which is to say, each time you do it, something happens, and each time you don't do it properly, something else happens. The consequences of this behavior, this shit-testing behavior, are profound, because every time you can reassure her that you are the calm, confident, in-charge dude, when she's unreasonable, when she's critical, when she's a cunt, and you are able to maintain your cool, her attraction for you goes up. Every time you fail to do that, her attraction for you goes down. Sure, she might get pissed. She'll stamp her foot. She won't like it. At least she won't think she likes it. When you stand up to her calmly and reasonably, she may storm out of the room. She may even threaten divorce. She may pitch a hissy fit. But rest assured, part of the reason why she's so upset is because through all that fire and brimstone, there's another fire brewing between her legs, and the cognitive dissonance is fucking with her head. Carry on, Red Pill Knight. Don't fail the shit test. And don't fail the ongoing shit test when they respond to your stoicism during the shit test. According to Manosphere icon Rollo Tomasi, this is a game. It is a game that your teachers, your mothers, your lovers, every mainstream advice columnist, almost every mainstream advice writer, almost every television show, all the talk shows, all the culture, the churches have been co-opted. The entire society is in on the game except for you. And the game is to tell men one thing. It's a meta shit test. And it's to determine who actually gets it and to weed out the men who don't get it. And the only way you can win, because believe me, it's a strange game. The only way you can win this strange game is to refuse to play it, or at least to play by your own rules, not their rules. Oh yes, women tell you they don't want a hard, masculine, stoic, strong man. In fact, they tell you the opposite. They tell you they want a nice, compassionate, caring, sweet man who pays attention to them and buys them things and brings them flowers and candy and rubs their feet. We've all heard this, right? The problem is, when women get a man like that, time after time, they lose interest in having sex with him. I always say, folks, she can be your mother or she can be your lover. Pick one. And guys, is it really a secret that women want to fuck men? Strong, rugged, stoic, controlled, masculine men. That's who women dream about. Look, we saw the Harlequin romance novels last week. We didn't see any blue pill pussies. We didn't see any wimps. We didn't see any guys who couldn't take a shit test thrown at them by those women and destroy it, literally drop kick it all the way to the next county. Now, don't be discouraged. You don't have to become John Wayne. You don't have to become Arnold Schwarzenegger. Most of the time, anyway. You don't even have to become a criminal psychopath or the drummer in the rock band or get a tattoo and start riding a motorcycle to regain your wife's attraction. However, you probably do need to move a little bit in that direction. Just a little bit. I'm not saying turn into a schizophrenic, sudden asshole. Just do it a little bit and see what happens. Try it. Start to take charge a little more. Start to be unfazed by her nagging. Start to identify her shit test and see what happens over the next few weeks and months. So to review, a female shit test is typically manifested by a disrespectful tone or a disrespectful attitude. Shit tests were discovered when players approached women trying to get them to go to bed with them. And if you are a man and your wife is not sleeping with you, then you're in the exact same situation. I got news for you. You are a man trying to get a woman to go to bed with you. And the way to do that has been shown over and over again. You need to start answering and responding to her shit tests appropriately. We will talk about shit tests and how to respond to them appropriately in the next tape. But for now, open up your eyes, guys. Look around you. Watch what women do, not what they say. Watch what they do. You'll be able to understand them much better. When a woman is tired or crabby, that's not necessarily when she shit tests. A woman shit tests when she's concerned about you and whether or not she's concerned whether or not the man that she's binded to for life, ostensibly, is the strong alpha man who can protect her babies and who can, more to the point, stand up to her bullshit. So guys, this week, start identifying these times when she's disrespectful and rude. Don't do anything about it. Just take note of it. And next week, we'll pick up on what to do with this type of behavior. And more importantly, how you can use this to start building sexual attraction in your wife again. So thank you for listening. Next week, we will pick up and we will describe in great detail how to get through these shit tests. And believe me, it's not all that hard, but it takes a lifetime to master. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for taking your daily dose of red pills. And remember, a red pill a day keeps the divorce lawyers at bay. So thank you for listening, and cheers.
And that music means my time is up. So as always, I leave you with the words and wisdom of Mr. Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin.
All your ears have turned away. But now's the time to look and look again at what you see. Is that the way it ought to stay?